Hello, everyone. Erik Roth here, shamanic astrologer, and we are approaching eclipse season once again. The last one happened in the springtime, the late spring, and now we are here in the coming up into the middle of fall, at least here in the northern hemisphere, and of course the spring in the southern hemisphere. And so we got a couple of eclipses coming up, and this is what this astrological episode is about. So I'm going to go ahead and share some things with you about this first eclipse, and then there'll be a separate video about the second eclipse coming up here. All right, we've got a Scorpio solar eclipse coming up on October 25th of 2022. And this is episode 41 of Signs, Planets, and Stellar Rhythms. And I'm happy to share all that there is about this particular upcoming eclipse and where it might be visible. It's a partial eclipse. And then we have in November, we've got a total lunar eclipse. So let's proceed through the information here that I've got to share. So this will happen. The first eclipse is a partial solar eclipse. It will be conjunct Venus at 2 degrees Scorpio. And the one right after that, 2 weeks later, on November 8th, is a total lunar eclipse at 16 Taurus. And there'll be a separate video for that one. This will be focused here right now. Episode 41 will be focused on the partial solar eclipse. Now, let's just cover a little bit about Scorpio, the sign of Scorpio, the archetype of Scorpio, just to cover our basics here around what this sign represents. And in shamanic astrology, it's looked at as an archetype. And it's the archetype of the shaman or the sorceress. Scorpio is all about light force energy, channeling, practice, and utilization of it for self-exploration and self-mastery as well. So it works to help hold the mysteries within while it's mastering of the emotional and physical domains. And this is through life force energy. And it's all about the strong will, desires, and passions, and the depth of what nature is within itself. And some of its shadow relates to the hidden nature of magic, but one might even say the abuse of magic, as well as control and the traumas and other fears of Scorpio the last few thousand years. So there's things related to the over the last few thousand years, especially when the rise of patriarchal energies and societies, and many of the signs, if not all the signs, on some level, became a lot of the shadows came alive more and more. And Scorpio definitely was one of them, where Scorpio had to hide more, had to hide its will, hide its power, its connection to magic, its connection to life force, and as if that was the area of evil with the patriarchal forces, and that was just a way of controlling societies and communities around the world, and in particular Europe and parts of Asia and Africa, until, of course, then it came over to the Americas as well. So Scorpio, like all the signs now, is experiencing a rebirthing of itself, and it's going to take many years for it to fully realize itself and coming into a more healthy expression, as humanity starts to uncover these mysteries of what Scorpio represents. Okay, so this partial solar eclipse taking place at 2 degrees Scorpio. Here's where it will be in the sky. Now, there's only certain areas of the world that will be able to witness this. But this is the area of the sky where it will be visible, and in this Priestess constellation, not far, only about 8 degrees from star Spica. Venus is only about a half a degree away from the eclipse, and it's in this Priestess constellation here. So it's a partial solar eclipse. It means only a portion of the sun is covered by the disk of Earth's moon. It will be visible in northern Asia and parts of Europe, but mostly centered, and the maximum part of the partial eclipse will be centered on Russia and Kazakhstan and down into other parts of Central Asia. Although, again, parts of Europe will be able to see to the partial solar eclipse to a lesser degree, as well as maybe into the Middle East area as well. So this means that the Earth, Sun, and Moon isn't exactly lined up to create the totality, and that can be witnessed at other times, like back in 2017 here in the Americas that I witnessed. Typically, when there are total lunar eclipses in the eclipse season, as there is right now, there are not total solar or annular eclipses taking place in that season. And what's interesting about this particular eclipse is that most of the sun will be covered. So it doesn't quite get to 100%, but it gets roughly close to that amount. So here's where the area of the map that it'll be seen here. You could see, in fact, a good portion of the sort of the western half of Russia is covered up by the maximum part of the partial solar eclipse. Now Moscow is kind of in this yellowish area here. So, and then you can see parts of Eastern Europe here, Belarus, Ukraine. You've got the northern part of Europe, Norway, Finland, and Sweden also in to a lesser degree, probably 50 to 70% of the eclipse that they will be able to see. But the totality, which is not total, but the maximum amount of this solar eclipse is at about 82%. So again, people actually, no, that's not South America. It's more, again, it's in the Asia part. Yeah, so there's a misprint on that there, but it is 82% of the coverage. Now you can go to timeanddate.com, and I recommend that for eclipses to get some great information, and they've got a lot of eclipses all over upcoming and where it will be visible and the time of day and all of that. So we've got also a Sabian symbol of the partial solar eclipse. So when we look at Sabian symbols, we always add 1 to it as they number from 1 to 30, and the degrees of the zodiacal signs are from 0 to 29, because when it gets to 29, 59, then it moves into 0 and not 30. So this would be the symbol of 3 Scorpio. And the book that I use, which also draws from the origins of the Sabian symbol, the originators of it, Linda Hill, she draws from that, and her book, The Sabian Oracle, is what I use for this. And the symbol is this neighbors help in a house raising party. And the keywords of this are cooperation, real estate deals, community concerns, buying and building houses, apartments and homes, needing help to find shelter, agreement of neighbors to maintain community harmony, raising the roof, parties, dormitories, having to consider the needs of lots of people, matchmaking, community halls, understanding what it takes to make a village of people, communal governance, or being blocked by rules, laws, and regulations of bureaucracy, including, so we got homeless shelters, tools, building expertise, and helping hands. So what I get from this is it really speaks to the gathering of the will of a community to accomplish goals, with a house simply being the symbol of that goal. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a house. It could be something else. It could be a community center. It could be getting together, forming an organization. It could be getting together to clean up a town, to help rebuild a town, perhaps. But this is symbolic of that, and we can see that in this particular Sabian symbol of 3 Scorpio. Now, what else is symbolic about this particular solar eclipse, partial solar eclipse? It's conjunct the planet of Venus, and it's a south node eclipse as well. So the partial solar eclipse involves Venus about half a degree from the sun-moon conjunction. Now, Venus won't be visible even during this, with most of the sun's light blocked. You will not be able to see that, or extremely unlikely. This is part of the on shamanic astrology. We look at this as Venus in the underworld, it's in the underworld phase. So it has Venus has a regular 584-day cycle, or you can call it 19 months. And in this phase, which began in mid to late September, when Venus started to disappear into the glare of the sun, officially that was on the 14th of September, but many people were starting to still seeing Venus a week, sometimes 10 days later. So depending on your horizon line, you could have still seen it, but most people would not have been able to see it on a regular basis. This is part of the Venus's symbolic death and rebirth. And in the synodic cycle, which has been noticed by cultures for countless thousands of years, and stories have been written and different belief structures have been built around this. So symbolically, the goddess is in her death phase. She has given up all her vestments of power, and she's now going through the death rebirth process. Now she's at a point where she's starting to emerge, moving away from the sun, if you will. By this point, on the 25th, the actual conjunction takes place 3 days before that, on the 22nd of October. So Venus won't become visible or emerge from her death rebirth until late November or early December, again, depending on your horizon and clouds and whatnot. Ideally, she gets within 10 degrees or gets away about 10 degrees from the sun on December 1st. But theoretically, a person can be able to see it, probably 3, 4, sometimes a week before that period, depending, again, on your horizon line. For example, I was in southern Arizona at around the equinox time, and there were doing an event, Teach the Night Sky, and there were a few people that were camping out there at this particular event, and they saw Venus rise in the morning time, even after it was within 10 degrees of the sun. So they were seeing that for days after that. So there's a possibility in the evening sky of being able to see Venus prior to the official 10-degree mark, as a rule of thumb here from an astronomical point of view. So then that becomes the ascent phase of Venus. So this eclipse brings in this Venusian symbolic energy here, astrological energy. And being in Scorpio, there's a real deep, profound, transformational cauldron that's taking place. It's the cauldron of co-creation, kind of a symbolic image of that, with the sun, the moon, Venus, and even the South Node, where it's kind of this dumping ground where, karmically speaking, things are being let go of, kind of pushed out and detoxified. And with the power of the feminine kind of helping to kind of push that out, or surrendering to that place to allow it to come out. So there's a lot of, like I say, taking out the trash kind of imagery. But obviously we talked about the Sabian symbol, which is getting together. So it's in the utilizing of that, of the will, of the passion to, like, oh, hey, we're going to pull together our passions and our energy to build something, to create something, to co-create something that is useful. And it's a way of repurposing, you might say, this astrological energy, instead of just something that is done on a personal level. And it can be, certainly, Scorpio, very introverted energy, but it could something where we can channel it together. And in that case, that Sabian symbol, bringing it into a space where people are building something that is extremely useful for families, for people, for community in general. So that's one way to look at that eclipse. This eclipse is absolutely a wonderful time, not just with the Sabian symbol getting together, but a wonderful time to meditate, to do things where you're exercising your life force, where you are maybe on working with yoga, maybe do a maybe an extra intense yogic session, maybe doing a shamanic journeying. But it's not a time to make a major commitment, or to try to take like actually quote committing to a major investment, or trying to start some big thing. This could be, I would recommend after the eclipse passes, which is here in the west coast of the US. It would be in the middle of the night, and so by or later on in the day, that would be fine as well. Because we saw where that eclipse takes place in Asia and Eastern Europe there. So this is part of an eclipse family. This is Saros 124, which is Saros are eclipse families. And these eclipse families can span from 1200 to almost 1500 years. This is the last time an eclipse took place in this family was in October 14th of 2004 in the sign of Libra at 21 Libra. And the next time it happens will be in Taurus. Sorry, that wouldn't be right. That would be Scorpio, and November 4th in 2040. So this eclipse family ends all the way, and goes all the way until 2347. So that's a period of 1298 years, from 1049 to 2347. Again, that's a Scorpio, sign there. So I think when I was creating this, I was looking at and putting in Taurus, and when I was thinking about the lunar eclipse, which is that one is definitely in Taurus. So that's all I've got for you here, and you can find me at inspiralnexus.com, and I do a star series online courses with Kaylin Castell at mystaralchemy.com, and shamanic astrology comes from the School of Thought from Daniel Giamario, and the Shamanic Astrology Paradigm at turningoftheages.com. And there'll be another eclipse video, the total lunar eclipse on November 8th, 2022. And that happens at the time of the US midterm elections. So stay tuned for more. And thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you do, and share. This helps me understand what you like to watch, and maybe give me ideas for other videos in the future to create. So I wish you all happy eclipse watching, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.